dripping, and you think, oh, that's like a toilet, right? I mean, it just
Oh,
kill you.
toilet's the worst. Toilet's the worst.
Just kill you.
We've got one of them silent killers too that you can't hear even.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
see,
see
that's
the little bubble.
Linda will proactively call people if she has the phone number. If she sees a spike in their water usage, she'll catch that and she'll call people and say, hey, you might want to
she's done that
look
before.
for.
Yeah. The chief looks like he just rolled in off of an event.
I think that's his winter jacket, that fluorescent
Oh,
thing.
is that your winter wear?
Winter wear.
Yeah.
Noticeable, right?
And,
Did you get one of these?
Yeah, we're gonna put billboards on it.
Hey, Brian.
Other way for revenue. It means,
Rent this space.
when we're out on the road, we're supposed to have
Well, I just said it looked
yellow
like you were
vests,
coming
which
in,
are
but
ridiculous.
You gotta start selling back panel on the trucks. I'm telling you.
Revenue generation.
Yes. Good money.
Oh, look, the wheels are spinning.
That's right.
A lot of area there.
Call Jay's. Kind of entrapment. Is that a good policy? Call Jay's for entrapment? Just check it.
I
I'll
only
pay for
hear
that, I'm
parts
sure.
of the news in the morning, so I don't know where this happened or exactly the details, but did you see on the news, the woman that was so mad her husband didn't vote, she ran over him?
Yes, I saw a headline of that.
There's a headline I did it.
Yeah.
It showed, it was like I don't know what she did, whether
Just a little different.
she had planned what she was supposed to vote for.
Is that what it was?
Something
She
stupid.
was. The headline I saw. She was so upset that President Obama won that she ran over her husband or something like that. Yeah.
I didn't see what, I didn't know
Did
what
he vote
Wait till
for
I fit
him?
into
it
it.
said on what I saw that said she was upset that he didn't vote.
Oh,
Long
She
line.
found out he
Just a
didn't
little
vote.
bit different.
gosh.
And I
Because he
had
probably
a
could have changed the whole
typo on
election.
one of the,
Yeah.
Must have
That's,
just been the principle. I
Did you
think.
change something?
yeah,
Oh, all right.
yeah. Numbers on transports.
Oop, sorry, Chief. Now, I stuck your shoes up. Polish them up for you.
Okay.
How are you?
that's an updated version.
Did you want one too?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Why? I gave your husband one. That's
All right, I'll
more
take
than
his.
enough.
Yeah.
I was talking about the shoes polishing. That's why I took my shoes.
I'll end up with it, Chief, so that's okay.
Anybody have trouble with their email? I'm locked out again. Just every once in a while I get locked out and have to be reset.
It does that to me sometimes too.
Forgot to call Jen.
You gotta remember the password.
Every time it happens.
You gotta remember the password.
I do know the password. It's
I know.
been the same the whole time.
I know it, then you enter it like three times and you're logged out. Then I go to the applicant to see if they're like impeaching a council person.
I never thought to check that.
You,
Hi, Chief, how are you?
Is this seat
Chief, it will not be.
boy, doesn't he look that?
I think we got everybody. Doug's not coming, Jeff's not coming, Cletus isn't coming.
Oh,
So I think we got everybody. So Brian, we're ready to roll.
All righty. Well, who goes first? Who wants to go? You wanna go first?
Ain't good. Well, that'd be fine. Before I even get started, do you have a problem with one of the C-Tech students asked if they could have their mother take senior pictures and they'd like to be photographed around some of our fire trucks?
Oh, I don't care. That's fine.
Okay, yeah, okay. That's good. It's like, why'd you use the C-Tech stuff? And they're like, it's old, you know. So anyway,
Yeah, that's fine.
very good.
When are they doing that?
We should talk
5
to
o'clock
them.
today?
No. This coming Sunday.
Who's that?
Okay.
Jennifer Walker. She's from the Johnstown area.
Tony could probably have some guns and stuff too.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay.
I can get a lot of things.
There was a typo on the transports. I actually had given you on your copy that you have, the old one, the transports were wrong. The new copy should have the correct revised numbers. I've given you some 2010 statistics. But anyway, fire runs, 38, compared to 45 last year. 384 total compared to 323, so an increase of what, 61? EMS 145 versus 117, 107, 1389 last year, 1551 this year. You can see a significant rise in EMS calls. It's been consistent and continues to climb. 92 transports per med bill, and I checked our statistics last month before I reported to make sure we had, there are always a little discrepancy, but we should have made 934 transports as of the end of last month compared to 783, so a significant increase on that also. Legislative requests, I have none. October wages, about the same. Of course, we're down one. October the 12th overtime, 34,888.69. Report a little later, but of course we're down one person. We're in the process of filling that. The cause was off. He was back, and now he's gone again. And will be gone the rest of the year. So as of the end of the month, 235,681 in overtime. So up considerably from this time last year, but last year was a low year. Under equipment, airbags, I actually ordered airbag replacements today, and I reported that last month. They had exceeded their life expectancy, even though they hadn't seen a lot of use. One manufacturer said, I'll just pressure test them, and another one said, yeah, if you do and something blows up, you're putting, the city could be liable. So we replaced, we bought 2 new ones and are discontinuing 4. But we still have good lifting capabilities.
What would you use those for, Chief?
They can be used for a lot of things, Mayor. I mean, we've got a hydraulic rescue tool and things that you can use. Anything from little kids with their heads caught between rails. I'd be more inclined to use the airbag would be used more for heavy loads. The bottom one is a 65 ton, the top one is a 25 ton. They're actually connected together. You get a car up underneath, as we did at Jay's, simulated an automobile slamming underneath a semi or a garbage truck or whatever. That actually allows us to, under the axles or points, if a wrecker isn't available, a wrecker would be our quickest way to pick up heavy loads. But if that's not available, we can physically pick up loads. A gravel truck rolls on its side on a car or whatever. We can pick up extremely heavy loads up off of somebody and get to them. In some cases, if it's strictly a recovery of a deceased, then we've got all the time in the world. But if there's still a little bit of life left in them, you want to try to get them out of there as quickly as possible. And
What's
this
a little
gives
bit?
us, I'm sorry,
What's a little bit?
a little life left in them.
Yeah.
They still have a heartbeat or whatever. We're going to do everything we can to get to them and keep them going.
I understand. Okay.
So anyway, that was funny. Just
Well, I mean, if it's me, just leave me in there.
beat you to death with a stack of your coins.
Okay.
Airbag, Meg 9, control panel. You'll appreciate this. Medic 9 was going haywire. It had taken a while, and after this is a soft touch control that does oxygen things and all that in the back of the squad. The Medic 9 is a 2005. We'd had problems with it one time, but it was acting up again. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. They took it over to B&C, got into the console. Remember our old radio people that you fired? Remember how they
fired from Gahanna too.
no, not B&C.
Oh.
This was the first ones that were installing.
Oh, Bearcom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had disabled our rescue unit. Remember when they?
Yeah. Part
all
apart.
that? Well, they had done the same thing in the console of the medic unit when they made some of the connections on this radio, and they've got to be specific. You've got electronic systems and computers in these squads that handle all this fancy stuff, and they had just grounded any old thing with the radios and not being properly grounded or interfered with some of the computer systems. And it had gone a long time, but it just finally got bad. So anyway, we got that back yesterday. But they had gone through and cut wires, and they had said what a mess it was over Horton that they had just gotten in here. It just sometimes, but these people are long gone. Are they still in business?
Yes, as a matter of fact, they got Franklin County Sheriff's Department's contract and were fired from it shortly thereafter.
Still doing quality work, I can see.
Well, they low-bid everybody else.
But Medic 9 is repaired, is back. I don't have a cost on it. Medic 8, 2007, is going over tomorrow. It's got 44,000 miles on it. It's going to Blacks in the morning at 7:30. It needs kingpins. Now, Cause makes every effort to keep those lubricated, and if they're a brass bushing or whatever, but they show wear, and I guess it's the crazy drivers we've got. But just kidding. But they wear out periodically. And, so anyway, it's going down tomorrow to Zanesville in the morning to get kingpins replaced, or these bushings.
So we'll be using our spare.
We'll be using our spare again. So we used it last weekend and just got, as I said yesterday, got the one back. So it comes in pretty handy quite a bit. But Granville doesn't have
Especially
it.
for Granville. You want to talk a little bit about that? What we discussed as far as Granville using our spare.
Well, we were just discussing Granville does utilize, they've got a couple units that we still haven't got a date when they're going to replace their EMS unit, and for several years we have tried to be a good neighbor and loan them our units whenever. I mean, a lot of departments, Newark, Heath, Granville, Heath, and all interchange stuff when they're down or whatever, but we have loaned Granville our medic unit a lot. And they've had a lot of problems, and their mechanic is just so frustrated, but it doesn't sound like they're going to be replacing that in the very near future. So we talked about, are we going to possibly be a good neighbor, lease them when they need to borrow it or whatever, tack something on. I mean, that's going to be kind of up to the mayor and you all. But exactly.
My thought process was, equipment breaks unexpectedly. Yeah, if we got a spare, sure, we'll help out. Problem is, in the case of our spare squad, they use it and use it and use it because there's breakdown and breakdown and breakdown, and they're not replacing their units that keep breaking down. And it's one thing if it's once in a blue moon type of thing. This has not become a once in a blue moon type of thing. It's becoming what,
Yeah,
at least
couple-
every other month, right? At
Oh,
least
and,
every other
and
month.
there's times, it could be a couple times in the same week,
Yeah.
that no sooner they return it and that it comes back from the shop, they back at the station, shut it off, and then it won't start again.
Yeah.
And,
So, you know,
they've
you
had
just-
a lot of problems with,
You kind of reach a
driveline
point, I
and
guess,
everything
where,
else.
you know, you're like, you know, you're using this thing every time we turn around. If you're not gonna address replacing your equipment so that you don't have to use ours so much, then we need to address you compensating us to some amount for using it, because obviously miles are miles on vehicles and tire wear is tire wear, and you just reach, like I said, it's kind of like a neighbor where you get tired of having to loan them a shovel every time they want to go, you know, dig some bushes or something. So,
You'll never convince me that they take care of it like we do.
well,
You
probably
don't
not.
take care of.
Yeah,
Don't loan him your shovel.
yeah, that's right.
They're wearing out their good neighbor policy.
Well, have we had the conversation with them? I mean, what, we just point blank tell them, I mean, it's,
No, we haven't. Like I
we
said,
don't mind once in a blue moon. but
Chief and
it's-
I talked about this about a week or so ago. When they, I think maybe they had just returned the spare, Chief, or something like that. Yeah.
and you know, and this goes back, and the good neighbor policy stems clear back with, Mayor Dubs. And that was always his thing, let's be good neighbors and such, and we have been good neighbors, and we've shared, and as I said, we've had some of their equipment, and over the years, if something broke, but, they have had our squad.
When-
Quite
When have
frequently,
we ever had to use a piece of equipment from another department? Have we had to do that during my time as mayor? Because I don't recall it.
We have used, this is kind of off the beaten path, prior to us receiving our smoke trailer, we borrowed equipment from Pleasantville Fire. Ralph Swift was instrumental in that, used that for our education programs.
Yeah.
When our hose tester was broke before, we borrowed Granville's. And we remedied that, but we have had engines when we've had units broke down before.
But I'm saying
not in
since
recent
2010.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. There's a difference there, right? Once in a blue moon, yeah, we go, okay, fine, we'll do something else. The use of the spare medic is frequent.
I had asked their mechanic recently, because the chief and I had talked recently before the mayor and I, and about the squads, and he's like, boy, I can't wait to get rid of those. And he had indicated he was working towards getting rid of them, but when I talked to their mechanic, he's like, yeah, maybe in the next 5 years. So, but I have not talked with Chief Hussey to find out what, they're going to do. But I just know when they just keep breaking down, and they're relatively new units, so they're just gonna
Did they go-
another manufacturer and
Did they go cheaper on the type of equipment that they bought, or?
they don't buy a medium duty chassis like we do, but there isn't anything in the fire service that's cheap anymore, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just a problem, and we'll try to keep you.
Any kind of agreement that we draw up, of course, you guys have to approve. So I just want you guys to know that when we're talking about squads, because we always, it seems like every time we turn around, I'm hearing about Granville using our spares.
So under personnel, I mentioned earlier, I'm sorry, any other questions pertaining to that, but under personnel, Captain Kozlowski is off again and gonna have his final repair of his abdomen, and but will be off through the end of the year as far as everything is projected.
So they're hoping to get him back, but right after the first year.
Yeah. Yeah,
He should be good as new.
we hope. 3 different,
Tell him that's what we're counting on.
Yeah. And he had no indication that he had these ruptures, but they had to go in and of course, use the fabric and keep up the abdominal wall and all that. I mean, he was in good shape and all, there wasn't having issues, but obviously, it was fortunate he wasn't. Training, we have not done the car fires out at Jay's yet. We've got the pallets and everything, and we will probably be doing that the next couple of weeks, starting with that, and that would be joining fire training and such. Even, I mentioned that last time. Old business.
What were you guys doing today? This morning, there was a group over at Station 1.
I have no idea. I wasn't there yet, Mayor. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. I know somebody told me it was something. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Oh, life. Was it Lifeline? Was it the air evac group?
Okay, was there evac in there this morning?
I think that was what it was. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess Earl did say something about we were going to be doing some training with air evac on landing zones and things like that.
Okay.
Lord knows we've done that enough. So.
Maybe that was what it was.
Yeah. Okay. And they normally do train on Tuesday mornings at 10, Wednesday nights with the volunteers, and Thursday mornings, so all 3 shifts are covered. So that's probably what was going on.
Yeah, it was. I was over there after. It was sometime after 10.
Okay. Old business, the weather siren, narrow banding has been authorized, and that is getting done here in the near future. Considerably less, about $3,800 is what it's going to cost to do that. That was a far cry from 5,000 plus before, but we had a long conversation, and they were reminded and agreed that we had maintenance contracts, and so there was no labor involved with any of this stuff. And so the piece
3,800 each.
No, total to fix all.
We were looking at
6
5,000 something.
Yeah, over $5,000 to equipment and labor costs and things. And so they agreed, yes, we do, and they're going to do maintenance on each site as they repair it. As they had to order some components, there may come a time where we may have 2 siren sites down for a short period, but we'll try to maintain as many of them up and running as we can. The team wants me to pull them all out of service. There we go. That and then Dick, did you bring up something last LEPC meeting that I didn't make, or I know according to Terry Coe, I was on the phone with her today and talked to her.
Then what?
About, did they discuss at the last LEPC procedural changes with the tornado siren activations?
They discussed that there were not, and I don't know where it stands as far as the not doing closing it off, just when you hear it, the siren's on, because people were confused when they fired it again, whether it was still going or whether it was off. I mean, they need a lot of training, because people just don't know.
Yeah.
And that's been
Hell,
some of the.
we hear the siren, everybody runs outside and looks to see where it's at. You know.
But according to Terry today, and yes, some of the things that were brought up here. Eventually, they're in the process of rewriting this policy. They'll post it on the county page. I told her that we were wanting to post it.
Yeah.
And this was a question you all had last time. But yeah, they're going to activate them under certain circumstances. There's still some discussion about if it's up in the northern part of the county, will they activate them down here if it looks like it's going to track across the northern part of Lincoln County.
Yeah.
There's some talk about a different software that they have that may give them a better idea of where it's going. And the discussion has always been, as fast as they track, and you don't know whether the storms, north, south, east, and west, whatever, and although we have a tornado alley in the northern part, we still have had tornadoes in this area, and you'd hate not to activate. So anyway, they're taking a look at that, and eventually you're going to do away with the all clear siren, which has been the biggest confusion, I think, with everybody. Is that what exactly is that siren doing? Because that had a problem activating and actually changing the siren modes at some siren sites and things. So they'll still blow them. To my knowledge, it'll be once every 10 minutes, as long as there is a storm or tornadic activities or whatever in the area. And it's up to people to turn on the TVs, the radios, or weather monitors, and stand on the front porch and watch and wait. But at least they've got the warning that there is something going on, and if they quit blowing, they should get the message from another
So is
source.
the idea that when the sirens start, they will continue to blare until the emergency has passed?
No.
Okay.
No, they
So
only
they
blow
will
them.
blare and then pause and then blare again.
Right. These systems are running off battery power, and they actually, the amplification system has to cool down for so many minutes. So they'll blow. There'll be a cool off period.
Okay. So then how are people supposed to know when the emergency's over?
The sirens quit blowing and listening to their weather, the local radio stations and things.
Okay.
For that all
The
clear.
sirens will not be a significant or a signal that it's an all clear.
Okay. All right.
And they may not blow them. If there's something up in Hartford, they may not blow it.
And one of the concerns about doing that is you don't know where the weather's going. I mean, it could go take a right turn, come down this way, and then all of a sudden, then there's criticism, well, why didn't it blow down here? It blew up there.
There's no, especially when you're dealing with the public, but there's no simple answer, and
When you're
it's
dealing
always-
with the weather.
Exactly, Mother Nature, and
Yeah.
it just amazes me how the Doppler, all the electronics, kind of like our last storm or whatever that we had, all that electronic stuff, but nothing worked with.
For the time, that one time the tornado came through, it was past due before the siren came.
So we're doing the best we can with the technology that we've got, and trying to give people an early warning the best.
Nothing beats standing out outside.
I always thought
Yep, it's
part of
there.
the problem is that I always thought like an air raid siren, okay, was this type of a sound, right? And that the all clear was this type of sound. We do it opposite. This is the warning, and this is the all clear. So that's not the way that they used to do. I mean, if there was an air raid, it was that, increasing pitch lower.
And I believe that to be the most effective siren mode, especially with people with diminished or hard of hearing like some of us. But, you cover all. But the constant sound has been something that was adopted clear back in the 50s. The majority of areas use that siren sound. The National Weather Service, that's been the constant, tornado blast, and so, yeah. I mean, I'm sure we could change it if we wanted to, but I don't disagree, Mayor. And that has been discussed in past tense. But anyway, they are working on it, and Jeff had promised he was going to get back with us and didn't. But I talked with Terry today, and things are on the roll, so that's a good thing. We're in a process, we've interviewed the mayor and the two captains and myself have interviewed two of the candidates, the applicants for the full-time fire position. And what's the latest status on, have you heard anything else, or?
Got a meeting with civil service tomorrow.
Okay. Just as far as the other applicants, and we'll finish that up as soon as we can. I mean, that's about the best we can say. So it's a work in progress. New business, Mr. Morrow, the mayor, and myself had a meeting with Inglefield people the other day in regard to, of course, the June 29th. Did you already discuss that in council or whatever?
No.
In regards to, the last storm that went through, we were without power, we were without fuel, and had to take extreme measures to keep everything going. We finally had an opportunity to sit down with Mr. Inglefield, and they are within about 60 days to install generators out of their, this isn't their corporate, it is their corporate office, something that, so they can get word out to their people. And down here at 79 and Heath Road, we'll have a generator that will provide power for the entire station. So if another storm goes through,
Not only will we be able to get gas, but we'll be able to get beer.
That's right. The beer cave will be open.
Beer cave will be cold.
You can always walk.
I think that was the second question.
It's better to drink beer than alcohol, so.
So anyway, that was good to hear, and just
Well, we got a chance to voice our concern of lack of cooperation, as far as I'm concerned.
we don't know where the ball got dropped, but anyway, they're doing something about it to make it better. So let's hope. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just a little confused. How is it their fault anyways? I mean, they don't really have to provide power and fuel.
No, they're supposed
Yeah,
to provide.
they were supposed
For
to.
us.
When they, a lot of years ago,
There's an agreement I don't know about.
they would supply fuel. Well, one of the things that I didn't know is all these tank wagons now don't have. It used to be they had the small nozzle. Now we don't have a 3-inch fittings that go in them.
Used to be able to fuel a
units.
vehicle right out of the tank, and can't do that anymore.
Progress.
And part of what happened too in the summer was since their headquarters was down, they couldn't communicate with like their haulers. They were having a hard time. They were having a hard time even getting fuel to the stations that were open because they were having a hard time communicating with them because they didn't have any power out there.
So there's an agreement somewhere that basically says they'll provide our police with fire
Yes.
and stuff with fuel.
Yeah,
When
the event of the
Ritter
Gotcha.
thing,
Yeah.
Ed came in.
And that didn't happen.
And said that we will supply you product. Russ Carson was alive at the time, and Russ would have gone anywhere to get gas to supply it.
I know they brought a generator in finally up here, but I don't know if I know they brought a generator up here finally in that last
Yeah.
storm.
Yeah.
Right.
2
So
days
they're gonna
afterwards,
install
I mean, we were
a much larger generator on site there, and they said something about what, Neo Drive or up?
talking about definitely here, definitely the main, and then they're thinking about the one to the north of Dio Drive.
Yeah.
So,
Makes
So it'll be
business
kind of,
sense. Makes business sense.
Yeah, they lost a lot of revenue.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, boy.
But it's like an umbrella. Now that you got it, you probably won't need it.
I hope.
I know.
You never know.
I think we will. But we did get our concern voiced.
Yeah. It was a good meeting.
To the right people. Yeah.
So other than that, that's all I have. Any questions?
Hey, you know, that guy's
I'm
worth
sorry,
more than a gallon of gas when that power went out.
what was that?
Bag ice was worth more than a gallon of gas when the power went out. So there's probably less than a gallon of water in that bag. Should have had ice. Keep your beer cold, Dick. I was gonna let you know that we're talking with Jay, and I have him on a full tanker trailer. And if working with Jay on that, we might end up getting back down to him for you guys to use. I can't use any more bulkheads cracked on, it's not worth fixing. So he can roll it on the side or whatever to do some of the training. So the tanker training might be good.
Does it hold fuel? I mean, would it hold?
Oh, yeah.
If we wanted to load it with some fuel and burn it a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it doesn't leak. It's just, it's past where I wanna put your money in and run it up and down the road.
I wouldn't mind standing at a distance to watch that training exercise.
I could probably get pictures from my front porch.
I want your video of it.
I saw the helicopter land.
Let's see, and this is something that I have not talked to Jay. Jay and I have played phone tag for several different times here lately. He's been home, a lot of stuff out of state and all, but had a call after I sent a letter to the Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Department pertaining to, we were gonna call Jay's on all entrapment. And the lieutenant at the Highway Patrol, I can't think of his name right now, but out here at the Granville post, told me that totally violated their policy as far as, he said, we have a rotating policy, and if I allowed Jays to come in and take care of that accident, then there could be, somebody could sue us for not following our policy. And I said,
Not your policy.
right, I said, but this is my policy. And this is solely to deal with entrapment. And I said, I'm not rattling a saber or whatever, but the Ohio Revised Code does give me that authority to do that. And he goes, I understand, and I see what you're saying, but he said, it violates our policy. And it's like, well, I'm gonna talk to Jay.
Yeah. Well, you could have Jay come in and lift the truck up or whatever, but if a truck needs to be towed, then you rotate through, whoever next, you call XYZ to come and tow that truck away. Jay still gets paid for helping out on the thing, but someone else could get paid to tow the car away or the truck away or whatever. I mean, you can still rotate through as far as who gets the tow after the fact, but you're just bringing in a piece of equipment to do the lifting.
Right,
Or what is the way I looked at
Jay
it.
had assured me that there would be no cost to the city if he had to tack a charge on it. Would be, and I explained that to the trooper, and the lieutenant said yes, but now someone's going to get two bills.
Jay was gonna do it because he gets the tow.
Jay was doing it to help us,
And he gets the tow at the end when it's done.
yeah. But so this is something we have to clarify with Jay, that he understands.
Well, this whole rotating wrecker is a thorn in my side. I tell you, this is the only county that does it. And when I asked why, it was pretty similar to, well, that's the way we've always done it. And I hear a lot of speak about, lawsuits and complaints.
How about
If-
going to the closest one?
Well,
The one that can get there first.
That
How about-
seems kind of reasonable in this situation.
well, we didn't do this in Franklin County. You could have your own exclusive wrecker service. And I don't know anywhere in the law it says you have to rotate. Now, I'm sure the Towers Association or whatever their fraternity is might raise Cain, but
You know what they have in some big cities? The tow companies have scanners, some way of knowing if the police need a tow truck. All the tow companies know, and then they basically race to get there. And the one that hooks up the car gets the tow. So it's like first come, first serve. So they'll have tow companies with trucks just kind of cruising around waiting for a call.
No, this is just Highway Patrol making that statement, right?
That's correct.
well, that applies to all agencies,
Right.
but
But,
law enforcement agencies.
Yeah, I mean, he has a rotating list. I have heard, Chief Spellman,
I truly think it's something the law director
needs to check
should
into.
push the prosecutor for an answer. Where is it written? Because I have fired tow firms. Said, you're not doing business for us any longer. I had one tow firm that had one truck, and it looked like it needed to be towed. And I'm not saying looks are everything, but we're very fortunate to have Jay's Towing because it's a professionally run organization. They have the finest equipment. Matter of fact, I wrote a letter to the Towman Association recommending Jay for an award, and he got it. I think he goes to the ceremony next month, but
He was really pleased about that.
well, we had a head-on collision right in front of his place. He didn't know if he was going to get the call or not, but he's just civic and community minded, and all hands on deck, and got out there and helped us direct traffic and clean the scene up, and
Did he get the job?
geez, I don't remember. I think I don't remember. We had multiple cars. I think they got one of them.
Let's do our own thing until the law director says we can't do it.
I mean, what are they going to do? I mean,
Okay, we'll tow it back, put it back there, and
Yeah, I get along with all the record drivers, but it's still, they're in the city, they're close, especially when we're out on 79 waiting, and we've got traffic backed up and things, and you're waiting sometimes for long periods of time to get to.
oh yeah,
And they would
if
have
it's
been the
Utica
first one
towing,
to-
you turn, that's gonna be a while for him to get there.
well, we've talked too about locating the impound lot here. I'll bet you, with all the area he's got there, I bet we could strike some kind of
He could
deal.
be the impound
He
lot.
could be the impound lot and maybe sharing the proceeds, or
He's got a lot of
I
area,
like
just
having
bought
better
the
back
field
here.
north here.
well,
That's the problem.
Two questions. One, there's this rotating list, I assume now, of towers.
yes.
Are they within like a so many mile radius of us, or Heath, Newark, Licking County? It's a county.
Yeah.
So you could, if I have a towing firm and I'm in like Croton and I have one tow truck, I get on the list of
You
to tow?
submit a request.
that I could be on your list or whatever like that, or I guess I guess what I was thinking is Jay has umpteen different vehicles, and you mentioned about someone having one. What would stop somebody from having 10 trucks but create 10 different companies, so to speak? Company A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Yeah.
and they go on the list, so they get multiple times.
Yeah.
So
You're
they're,
thinking like a criminal.
well, I'm just thinking, why does it have to be why couldn't we just say any tow truck, any company that's located in the city of Heath?
Yeah.
I mean, we pick a paper to publish and we use the Heath. Why can't we pick the towing company? Now if we had multiple Heath towing companies, I could see, but if you're not in the city of Heath, I mean, to me, why would we give business to
That's right.
Johnstown and
Well, it just
Utica
doesn't
and
like
East
it
Renton?
just doesn't seem efficient.
Yeah,
It's not
to
official.
wait on a truck to come all the way. They may have an hour drive to get
If I'm
there.
in an accident, the car's laying on top of me, you
Yeah.
call Jay's.
Well, guys,
Don't
this is
wait
the
for
this is the first
International
time that this
account.
type of situation has been.
Oh,
I've not been
complained.
made aware of this type of situation before. So
Of what?
with the tow companies and how we have to use it. Yeah, no, nobody's ever told me this before.
We
So
talked
all we have
about
to do
this
is
several times.
not with me.
No, that's true. I mean, when I first started, I couldn't believe
Yeah.
it.
So let's talk to David and let's have David get a hold of Ken Oswald and let's get an opinion from his office as to why we have to use this system. If that's what we have to do. Because it doesn't make any sense.
I truly think Jay probably, if he was the exclusive tow company, would let us use a portion, he just bought even more ground, he'd let us use a portion of ground for the impound lot. I don't think he would
Probably.
expect any proceeds from the auction, I think he'd
Just
let
to
us
have
use
the
it
toes.
if he knows he gets all the toes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a
I would if I
win-win.
were- I mean, I would
Plus,
take that note.
what you folks might not be aware of, yeah, when I've got 2 policemen patrolling the entire city and they get busy and we get calls stacked up, we don't have time to go to the impound lot and let them in, and so we let them take them to their impound lot anyway, so we lose out. So
And that's a secure property, there always is somebody there.
yeah,
They're never going there and there's not somebody there, so if somebody's sitting
Right.
around the impound lot,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah.
it just makes too much sense, and like I said,
Well,
it was
look,
completely
why don't you
foreign
guys
to me.
put together, why don't you put your heads together, either type up an email or a letter or something like that, and let's get it off to David, and let's get the ball rolling. I mean, like I said, at least we'll get an answer as to why we have to, if we have to do it that way, at least we'll get an answer as to why.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, then we can change.
And I just brought it up because it was, you know,
Well, I'm glad
got
that
all
you
the
did.
bugs worked out.
I'm
and
glad
all
you
of it,
did.
And then you get a call.
You brought it up because it was only 30 minutes into your time.
Yeah, you want-
That's right.
it's going too good.
No, I'm
You
glad
just, you
brought
told
it
me
up.
to drag you out so we didn't have to talk about the employees. But that's all I have, thank you.
All right, does anybody else have any other questions for Chief? Yes, sir.
The chief mentioned something about Tim, wanting to take the sirens out of service. What?
Oh, I was kidding.
Oh, that goes way back to when they first put them
Don't
in.
get
I said,
started.
why spend the money? Why waste money? Because there'll be false, no one will know what to do. You hear, I mean, if you think of all the money we spent on it, everyone in Heath would still be alive that 10 years ago that are still alive today because it's with or without the tornado siren. So all the money we spent has been wasted in all those years. And next year will be the same, the next year, next year, next year after that and everything. So,
But yeah, there was always opposition on the sirens or whatever, so I jerk him around a little bit whenever I get a chance.
Yeah.
I've got the same-
My thought is it's just a waste of, it was a waste of money 10 years ago, 5 years ago, today, tomorrow. It'll always be a waste of money. So,
Well, you haven't, nobody's even touched on the most painful thing about the sirens. They go off and they still call the police department to see what's going on. And so, I'm serious. I mean, the phone lines light up. It's if you're a dispatcher and you hear that siren go off, you're just going off.
It gets crazy in there.
Yeah, and they say, "What should I do?" Well, can I put you on hold for a minute so I can answer the next 911?
They call 911 for that?
Oh, they call any number they can find.
211, radio station, I work at the radio station, sirens go on. If I go to the
What do I
basement, do
do?
I take my jacket with me? Yeah.
Rain tonight, when's the football game?
Had 'em on.
All right, any other questions?
Okay, no,
Anything else for Chief? All right.
got him all mad
That's all.
now.
All right, we're moving on. Chief Shepherd,
Hey,
6:15.
got my damn October stats, 1,387 calls for service, 134 reports, 47 arrests, 38 accidents, and 79 citations. And you can see to the right, previous years. Overtime, we lost an officer on an extended FMLA leave, and 12,000 is not bad, and below our previous years. Under false alarms, 28, 24 being commercial, 4 residential. Revenue in October, 125. Year to date, 4,337. It's up a little bit from last year's. And I have 3 legislative requests. Before I go into that, since he's busy, Becky McComb had another motorcycle accident, our dispatcher, and broke her ankle. She's supposed to see an orthopedic physician today, but that's the second bad accident she's had on that motorcycle. So when she comes back,
Is she a passenger or the driver?
she's the driver. They travel all over on those Harleys, and so anyway, so we've lost her for a while. Don't know how long yet. Legislative request. This is one regarding the in-car computer update for next. Well, we've actually got started. There are computers stacked in the hallway. The lieutenant and some other members of the CLIA team are in Florida this week, and the lieutenant handles our IT side of things. Becky was also part of that team traveling, and I always give up my slot because they're the ones that do the grunt work, and I think they should go instead of me. And of course, it's too late to change. I have to use a little Florida weather right now. But anyway, it's an appropriation of $11,920 within the trust fund to LEF services. $7,030 of it is for a server from data, and $4,890 is for the in-car installation, the labor, and the benefit of that would be public safety concept.
So that second one should be $4,890.
Yeah.
Look, I'm looking at the agenda. You got 70-30 for each.
Oh, yeah.
Is that right? 4,890.
Yes, that is right. Scratch that second one and make it 4,890. Another. Oh, I know.
What are you looking for? You need an agenda?
That's okay, Mayor.
I gotcha.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, anyway, the total is 11,920. That part is active. And would ask waiving of second reading. As I just said, the computers are sitting in our hallway. And this is the final piece of the puzzle to get them installed.
And this is for the ink dash.
Yeah, yes, this is the
license plate
system.
readers. And
Yes, this is this brand new system.
Good, fine, okay. Anybody have any questions? Just to clarify that the numbers here, so these two should equal this, is that correct?
Yeah, that should be 4,890.
And this is 70.
70.
so this 11,920. This is part of the 30,000 whatever it was, because over the next 3 years we'll pay off the other 60 out of that fund. So this is part of that initial 30 something.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Easy payment plan.
Okay.
And this is all trust fund money.
I'm just making sure the numbers are adding up, because we had it figured out as to with the money we would have coming into it, what we could have coming out of it.
Yeah, I know you worked closely with the lieutenant, and he was gone when Sharon Wanda wrote that up for me and explained to me what it was for. I think that's the month Lieutenant had fill in for me. He's got a safety. My second legislative request is to appropriate from within the general fund $900. And this equals an overage of donations when we purchased Havoc at the, a year ago. And I simply kept forgetting that we had more donated than what costs we had involved in the dog. The two main donors were had targeted that money for the dog and the dog alone. So the $900 he'd like to use to purchase a bite suit. I told him because I'm coming to you so late, it'll be first next year before he could get it. But
Bite suit for a person or for the dog?
well, for the person, well, it's for both. The human wears the bite suit, and the dog gets the bite, and we use them in the military, and
Is it for practice, you mean?
it's for training. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and they are hot and heavy, and if you came to training hungover, you got to wear the bite suit.
Wear it all the time.
But don't look at me.
Well, you're familiar with military ways. Oh, I had to wear it.
Sounded experienced.
Yeah. You'd either have to wear the bite suit or to do what's called a muzzle attack. And in a muzzle attack, you take the meanest damn dog you had, and you take off running. The dog's wearing a muzzle, but of course, military dogs are a little more aggressive than civilian police dogs. But and the dog catches you and knocks you on your fanny, and then gets you in your face, and all that drool is coming out of its mouth, and it's dumping in your face. And you're hoping, like, God, that muscle doesn't come off. So, anyway, it didn't preclude people from showing up hungover. When your training starts at 6 a.m. and you don't get home till 5, it's a little tough.
I'll tell you what.
Well, this is in Texas, and it gets hot in Texas. So you had to be, class started at 6 a.m. Not for the humans, for the dogs.
Yes, you'd be done before the heat.
Yeah.
They're pretty impressive, the dogs. I don't know if you remember Dresden or New Mike. Young, but
Yeah.
it's a friend of mine, and he had a sleeve. It was like bite suit, and he didn't convince me to put it on. He kind of forced me to put it on. Kind of made me look like a sissy. I said, I'll do it. Oh, let me tell you what, bite suit or not,
Some torque in that bite, isn't
that
there?
might could break your arm.
5,000 pounds per
It
square
was
inch.
impressive, and that, I always let my kids would go over and go in the gate. Hi, Dresden. Dresden just be nice as can be. And when he got a hold of me, I was like, man, I'm just not sure. Good dog. Does anybody have any questions about this? If I understand this clearly, this is basically money to donate for the dog. It's now the general fund. You want to get the additional amount back so you can buy the suit for
Right,
training.
and if we could just transfer it to canine supplies. Like I said, the bite suit's about 1,000, so we'll still end up pitching in about 100 for it.
Yeah, I'm all right with it. It was donated for that purpose. So does anybody have any questions, or Dick, you all right with it?
For my last one, I had a little show and tell, and I broached the subject at the last staff meeting I was at, and I talked about 2013 being the golden anniversary of the Heath Police Department, and those of you that have been in the military, I think grasp the concept pretty readily, but I did bring, I forgot to bring then, but I did bring, renditions of what I wanted to ask for. And then these are actual challenge coins. This is from Boeing, and this is from, I forget where, Tulsa County, Oklahoma. And that's the size that we had quoted. I know that I just met with the mayor last week a couple times and just chomped and chopped and butchered our budget to make ends meet next year. Yeah, pass those around, please. I probably won't get them back. But anyway, I can't, it's hard to describe to someone who's not been in the military or law enforcement or public safety the concept of morale and esprit de corps and so on and so forth, but it does exist. It's real. A 50-year anniversary is quite a milestone. I'm sure you've seen it in other jurisdictions and in other occupations, and it may seem like a bad time to ask, but it would pay such dividends. The amount to me seems almost insignificant, but I know it's a lot of money. Now, in my legislative requests, I've asked to appropriate $6,000 to purchase various items. Group photo. Our last group photo is from 2000, I think, the year 2000. Badges, challenge coins, adhesive emblems.
So, Chief,
And I will donate your adhesive decals.
Oh, well, Chief, wow.
so would this be the badge?
That would be the badge we would wear for a year.
For the cruisers.
We would buy the badges and wear them for 1 year only. And now I put in 6,000 because Mr. Gooden was kind enough to. I sent him copies of our challenge coins and our badges because the only thing I had was for illustration purposes, just something we did in word art or something. But
You had just
yeah. Oh, did you make some?
well, I printed some up for you, but
Yeah.
Christmas is.
Well, anyway, these would be used to place on the vehicle for the year.
we'll take care of it.
And
Do I hear whining at the other end of the table?
pardon me?
Yeah, for your only.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Well, you could. I suppose it's I mean, you don't want to leave them on there when you're pretty close to your 75th anniversary. Of course, the cars don't last a couple years anyway. But these are all. I know what some might call warm and fuzzies, but they pay dividends that it's I guess probably beyond me to articulate, but I used the figure 6,000 because I didn't know what the cost for the vehicle decals would be, and I considered other. I frankly don't know what other might be other than a pamphlet or something in that degree. So, if it would take some of the bite out, and especially if Goons are kind enough to donate.
$6,000?
Not six, no cash.
Gives us a starting point.
That badge is gonna look funny on EJ, as big as it is.
You wear those on your back. The commemorative badges, the commemorative coins, also known as challenge coins, and the department photograph, we have fixed bids or estimates for. And the total is $4,860. And I would be willing to negotiate that 6 to something more palatable, if need be. Not saying just because he gave us 6,000, we'd run out and spend all of it. I just, for purposes of getting the request, ready for 2013, which will be here in a little bit more than a month, made a guess. So, through the generosity of one of our civic-minded business owners, and gentlemen,
Never be debated.
or I should say, the couple in my group.
Well, and first of all, and we talked about this a little bit, and I have to do this just only because the other two councilmen had contacted me and wanted me to voice their opinion for them. So first of all, I think this is an important thing for the city, in my opinion, and I sure believe I'd like to see us be able to do this. I'm not quite ready to voice my opinion, but I will say that Mr. Crable wanted me to make a point to let everybody know that he wasn't sure he could support it in lieu of our tax rate increase going down. He said he thought the timing was bad, that's all. And Mr. Heffley contacted me today to do and told me the same thing. So I only bring this up because they asked me to do in their absence. So,
well, if I may,
just did that.
and they're not here to
That's always a
argue
plus.
the point.
It's always a plus.
But when I brought it up at the last meeting, the mayor wasn't here,
Right.
and Mr. Crable and I think the both of them supported it, and Mr. Crable invited me to prepare a legislative request and submit it.
He did.
And I said no, because my boss hasn't given me a thumbs up yet. So, it's, I could have rushed in there and got it in finance and got it passed. So I'm a little puzzled.
I guess it is a little bit tricky because I think that you only have 150th anniversary, so it's not like we can say, well, we won't do it now, but maybe we'll do it in a couple years when we have more money, because you can't celebrate the 50th anniversary when it's 52 years.
52nd anniversary.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
doesn't happen.
but I understand what they're
Everybody
saying as
celebrates
well.
the
The
50th.
perception of the
Not
public when
everybody
we're
goes
when we're trying to get
52nd.
something passed, it's like they look at anything that they might think is fluffy and think that, why are we doing this? But I also have a question.
Sure.
I know we talked about this before, but like the challenge coins, like does everybody get a challenge coin, or what? Or is there criteria? Only a few select people are going to earn those? Because
Well-
I don't think they mean anything if everybody earns.
Yeah,
It's
you're
just a
right.
giveaway.
We quoted, 100 of them, and they are used to reward an act of kindness, of courage, of valor, or just somebody calls in, and compliments an officer. And again, it's for that year. So I get a lot of compliments. Some that don't deserve, having them show up at city council and awarding a ribbon, a medal. But I like to have a gazillion of them, so that every good deed went noticed. And they don't. So I rely on, and depending on what the good deed or the above and beyond was, it's either an email or a letter goes in their file, or if it's significant enough and falls under our criteria for an award, they get an award. So it's just it's just a big year. It's my last year, 2013. It's my farewell tour, and you gotta have my picture hang up in the hallway before I go next year. I mean, look at the ones that are already up there.
Can we pick the picture?
Sure.
Like some candid
Where do you
photos.
want that hanging, in the post office?
No, I'll work on that after I retire. Again.
Does anybody have questions?
I got a comment.
Please.
Yeah, we've talked about it, and I think it's a good idea. Timing isn't good, but you can't have the 52nd. And
You can, it's
but
just
I would like in the next 30 days to maybe work with you and see if we can get some civic-minded business to help
That.
Yeah, not just a sign
Yeah.
company, but other than that too, and see if, because I'm sure there's friends of the police department that would be willing to put some
Well,
money into it.
I hope so. I asked point blank last year. The Advocate did an article about when Johnny Lightning made a model of my race car, and I had to travel to Iowa for the revealing and take the real car, and I knew it was going to be expensive, and so they dropped a very heavy hint for me, and raised a whole $20. I don't mean to sound discouraged, but I'm willing to try anything. I would, I'm sitting here looking. We make that much in false alarm so far. Well, half of it anyway. That's not taxpayer money. We generate revenue through fingerprinting. That's not taxpayer money. I even think we have a lost or found money line up fund. I don't know what the conditions on using it are, but I guess my point is it doesn't have, not everything in the general fund is taxpayer money. And I do. I'm not tooting my horn, but the Beat the Heat. When I first started it was unique and something new, and I raised $20,000. I'm lucky to get 1,000, and I usually end up spending about 10 times that. Mostly because I love it, but it is something. There is a reason for it, and we have a mission. If we have a good time doing it, so be it. But anyway, hopefully you get my point. Times are tough. People don't want to give, and or Or maybe I'm just asking wrong, I don't know.
I don't think that your ask is wrong. I don't think that your ask is inappropriate. But I think we do need to be cognizant of the fact, as you mentioned, we had a couple of different conversations last week regarding the police budget for next year and what we plan to cut, and the services that we plan to no longer offer as it relates to that budget.
Mm-hmm.
And I had obviously similar conversations with the other department heads whose budgets come from the general fund. I think where we need to be cautious here, Chief, is that it would be very tone deaf of us to have eliminated some of the things that we talked about from the police budget, as well as some of the other budgets, while at the same time spending general fund dollars on a recognition program like this. It would be tone deaf, I think, to do that. Now, I think Dick has a very good point. I think that there is an opportunity, particularly if the businesses can be assured some level of recognition for having done whatever. I think there are opportunities to take, X number of businesses in the city contributing, a certain amount of money to help fund, an anniversary celebration for the department. Now, what the recognition is and how we publicize that recognition, we might have to put our heads together, to think about that. But, I think Dick's right. I think there are businesses here in the city who are A, civic minded enough to want to in some way help. But B, if they're recognized for those efforts, that might help, get more contributions as well. But like I said, I think in light of what we saw last week, and in light of the very troubling and gray hair producing conversations I had last week regarding next year's budget, I think it would be tone deaf for us to,
They don't know what gray is.
to do this.
Well, yes, I certainly understand, and I'm willing to give it our best shot. To seek some other way to fund it.
What if we're in fact, and I think maybe I misunderstood this, I mean, is it something essentially we could pass legislation that would cover any expenses that weren't covered by donations?
I think you'd have to appropriate the money first.
You would?
And
So
then,
any of the donations
unless you
go
did it,
to the general
unless
fund?
you did it kind of like, but here's where you'd have to do this process relatively quick. I mean, like within 90 days. Like what we did with the legislative request on the bike suit. The chief knows we had $900 donated that we didn't spend in the process of us getting Havoc. So he knew that money had been put into the general fund, so then now he's asking for it to be allocated out. That makes sense. We would have to allocate the money first,
That's right.
and then hope for reimbursement
That's right.
later.
And I think that's what Dick was saying also, is that correct? To allocate, approve the ordinance, but, well, not approve it, but to move it to council and
Yeah.
go out and try to find donations, cover it, and they go back to the general fund. They just you wouldn't pass legislation to get that out of the general fund, is that what?
Kind of like fireworks. You agree to do fireworks every year, and then we have people donate money to pay for the fireworks. If you don't get enough money, then it comes out of the thing, but if you get more than, it's, but we've agreed to pay a fireworks company $10,000 or whatever it was, and we didn't have $10,000 in donations yet at the time, but it came in, you know what I mean? Wouldn't it be the same way? I mean, it comes out of the general fund, but if people make a donation to the general fund in the name of that, it just goes in the general fund to kind of offset what it ended up costing. So it may cost us $6, it may cost us $5, maybe 4, 3, 2, 1, Maybe we get more than $6,000 donation and we have too much money in there, which we won't, but you know what I'm saying?
Depends on how hard you try.
So,
I mean, I could see go ahead and, you want to get this out of committee. Now, do you want to change that 6,000 figure to 5,500, or since I don't know how much the Goodwin donation was mathematically worth.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, it's worth a lot, but since
Well,
it's
if
free,
we leave it at 6,000,
Leave it at 6,000, and then.
well, we know that we have 4,860 on just the badges, coins, and the photograph. And so
I just want to say, if we'd have done this 2 months ago, it already would have been passed, and the 6,000 would have been spent. Okay. I kind of feel bad that you spend it now. If it's next year money or whatever, well, it's 6,000, but we're going to waste $6,000 umpteen other places in the next few years. I don't care what you do. I mean, we could take, if you just have a few patrolmen come from outside for this ceremony and stay at a hotel, we could use a hotel motel tax for that instead of the David Shea House, and we'd have $100,000 to spend towards your function instead of the David Shea House every year. But that's not here nor there. I mean, we waste. I mean, there's money. General fund money come in, going out, like you say, from other factions and stuff. So, and you only, as they once said, when someone was having a 90th birthday party, they didn't want to spend money for a cake, someone to bake the cake and anything, and someone goes, well, by God, the next time she has a 90th birthday party, then we'll buy a good cake or something like that. I mean, why be cheap about it? It's the 50th. It's not like you do it every year.
Right.
It's not like it's an every year thing. I mean, I don't know how much it costs for Fire Prevention Week that you do every year. If it costs the city any money or not. Probably the manpower or something. There's probably some expense. I mean, if you just took, if it's $100 every year to do that, 50 years times 100, you got your your 5,000 you spend one time for
Some
event,
of the
you know.
heartburn I've got about this is in past tense I have asked for monies, and it's like, what about the volunteers? What about some of the fire prevention meals and things we provided to the public came out of my pocket and other places because you couldn't use taxpayer money
for that kind of
that
stuff.
is what I was told. Now, the last several years, the city has lightened up a little bit, and I know we had a Gordon Food account, and it was like, as long as you spend it on the public and not the on-duty firefighters. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so we're getting in there. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and then, of course, we we solicit the Kruger and a lot of them. Raise over $2,000 this year. Send letters out to local
Is that how you
businesses
do that?
for that national fire safety that buys the coloring books and things for the schools. That keeps us from, but we still spent close to, we spent about $3,000 of line item budget money for fire prevention articles too, but that has come out of my budget for next year.
Yeah, let me mention a couple
let's
things.
move
What
this.
you're talking about, Tim,
Yeah.
he's not gonna be doing next year, all right? That's one of the things, that's one of the line items that we cut out of the fire budget. I don't care what money was put to things in the past, all right? I'm the one looking at this budget for 2013 right now, and I don't care what was done in the past. I'm the one that's looking at the revenue that we expect to get and the expenses that we expect to have. If we're gonna waste $6,000 over and over again, we need to find out how we're wasting it and stop it. That's the point of view that I'm coming from right now. I think it will be harder to get money donated if we've already allocated the money. If we go to the people and say, if we go to businesses or individuals in the city that we think would be generous enough to donate, and say, we want to do this, but as you can see from these various services that we used to provide that we no longer are, we don't have the money to do it. We need your help in order to pull this off. I think that makes it easier to get donations than to say, hey, you know, we've already allocated this money, we're going to do this, but boy, we'd appreciate it if you helped offset the cost for it. To me, I think it's an easier sell to say, we can't have this without your help, than to say, we're already going to have it, and boy, we sure would like your help.
I think I agree with what you're saying, and what you said brings up another issue. If you are cutting things for the fire department that they're thinking of as their extra or the recognition, and they see that we're doing, you know, we're taking 6,000 and just, we're gonna, even though it is the 50th anniversary, and I think that's a wonderful thing, and I think it deserves recognition, we have to be careful because, I don't know, we don't wanna look like, if it's for the police, we're gonna do this, but sorry, we're taking away all those things from the firefighters.
Or from the parks,
Or the
or
parks,
from the
any other
streets,
department,
or,
right,
yeah, I
right.
mean,
It's like we have to think of the city as a
or
whole.
the police department programs themselves.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I personally would like to see this done citywide. I mean, it's about Heath. It's not only nothing personal.
Right.
It's not about fire or just the police department.
Which is a good point.
I'd like to see it done on every city vehicle, all the fire trucks, all the police vehicles, and I would be willing to provide those. I think you're being silly here. We're sitting in Heath. If you can't raise money in this town, you're not going to raise money. If you three, and that's what it really takes is impact. You, and you show up at Walmart to meet the manager. There will be an impact, and they will bring forth some money. These big box stores that we've got here will give the city money.
See, that's what I think too.
But it's going to take.
It's going to
you,
take the shoe leather of us doing it. But yeah, I think you're right.
One day a week or something. And you can do this. You're sitting in Heath. We're not broke. There's plenty of money around here. What you guys have is a communication problem.
And this is
Big
the
time.
time of year to go talk to them.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. See, I think I think in the next 90 days we could have an impact.
I think with a Santa hat and a bell.
Well, I,
Walmart, I think Chief Shepherd could raise a lot of money.
so,
Oh, I have better ways to raise it.
Yep.
I bet.
Then we can work
I'd
on
like
it.
to hear something.
Decide, yes.
move it out of committee. Tim, you agreed to move it out of committee, move it on.
I'm not on the committee.
Right, but we're not voting. We're not voting for it at this time. Okay.
I'm going to a state dinner.
If you guys don't realize after this election that you've got a communication problem with the city of Heath, the people in the city of Heath, I don't know how better you're gonna get the message.
Well, you know what frustrates me about the whole thing is the people in the city of Heath that come up and say, you don't need no more tax dollars, and, or I'm not voting for this because you don't need it. Well, how do you know we don't need it? You know what? They're uninformed. And
Hey,
it's not our
how
job
do
to
you-
go out and hand feed them though.
But how do you get informed
no.
in our city? If you go to our minutes still, and this is Tim and every one of you, our minutes are so bad, this clerk from that took minutes in here in Newark lives in Heath. You know what she said about our minutes? I've looked at them. There's nothing there.
But
Can't learn.
You can't understand what was said at the meeting or what's.
No, I think what
I don't know, Chief Shepherd, are we done with our committee?
I am finished with my agenda.
Sorry.
You're right.
I have a question for this committee, actually, and that's but since both chiefs are here, do we have any agreement with the Port Authority or Boeing Or I see the officer over there all the time.
Yeah, they hire special duty.
Yeah, special duty.
Yeah,
Does this-
they hire special duty officers.
But do we get anything from Port Authority back on our fire? I mean, how much do they really contribute to our fire and our police? Don't we man pretty much everything for them now?
Oh,
What-
yeah.
what-
Yeah, we provide police and fire protection.
Yeah, just as we do all other businesses and
No,
residences.
we don't do it like we do it
Well,
for the base.
They hire a special duty police officer who's off duty. When you see the patrol car out there like during the day, they have hired and paid us to have an off-duty officer with a patrol car
So
there.
we have an agreement.
Yes.
And we're being paid for it.
Yes. Yeah.
Not
Which-
for the officer, but only for the car.
Just for
No. The officer gets paid too.
Well, the
yeah,
officer's
but
being paid, but
It goes in his pocket or her pocket.
Yes.
So we're not getting anything for our.
No, because
car
it's an
you want.
off-duty. It's just like how Giant Eagle
You get
will
paid.
hire a special duty police
You
officer
get additional
sometimes.
benefits.
I
They
know, but
pay,
we give that.
We're not making them.
This is Newark, Heath, Licking County Port Authority. This is not just Heath. We're providing all the services for the Port Authority. What? It's a business in Heath.
I was gonna say,
Right, and the income tax and everything.
yeah, I'm not. I guess what I'm
Yeah,
trying to
there's
understand is what more would you expect that? What more would you expect Boeing and what's it called now?
Well, Boeing, we provide a lot
or-
of training into their fire. They have a fire force, correct? Don't
No.
They're gone.
Well, don't they have?
They've got one or two inspectors that
I
walk
do.
around, but
There's
yeah,
a
they-
fire deal over there, so I knew I'd make signs for
Yeah,
it.
they're the fire's all that stuff's gone now.
I know the fire department and everything there is tore down. But what I'm saying is we're providing it. You know, we're providing water, everything, and I know we get a cut back on the water, but we give them a discount. They make money. I mean, they're running around with all brand new trucks. They're running around on.
Wait. Look, no. Wait. Let me correct a factual. Let me correct something you're factually wrong about. Unless they are a user above the limit designated in our ordinances, they don't get a special rate. Now, any business that is above that usage that's designated in the ordinance would get a discounted rate. Not just the Port Authority, anybody.
I thought they sub water. That they pay a rate and they sell to their tenants.
No. They're on city water,
I know they're on city water.
and they get a bill from us.
The Port Authority or each business.
Just the Port Authority. It's not
Well,
separated, I don't think.
Just
And
the
they're
Port
They're
Authority.
subbing the water. They're paying a rate that's lower than.
No.
They're paying a mass use rate, is what my
If
understanding.
they,
I don't think
if their water usage is above that limit, yes. If not, no.
But
But they're the
there's
water
what?
customer.
4 They're or the water
6
customer.
businesses in the city that
Yeah.
get special rates.
Well, because
of
those
usage.
businesses lease those facilities from the Port Authority.
I think what he's saying is a little different. If you take Southgate Corporation or Blockbuster used to be, or Giant Eagles, and you got all them stores through there, they own all the stores, but each tenant is paying,
A
each
water
tenant
bill.
would have to exceed that rate to get the discount. What he's saying is there's 4 or 5 different businesses in
If
the
they're-
Port Authority, and they're getting the benefit of a discount. And they're all getting a bit of a discount, but they might not have exceeded that volume if they weren't on one tap. I think that's what you're saying.
Well, I'm
Okay.
saying.
Well,
and
I
they
think
get-
that's something that we need to find out from John about and find out. I mean, the police and fire
Are they
chief
separately
know
metered?
that.
I
think
don't
that's
think
what-
they are separately metered.
And that's
I
what-
think there's
that's what
a
Dwayne's saying.
master meter.
That's what Dwayne's saying. If they all had individual meters, they probably or may not have got the discounted rate because the volume wouldn't have been high enough. Is that what you're getting?
I'm saying that, and that they're, including those 5 tenants, probably getting a quantity discount, and they're subbing.
Or they're
They're
going to
actually
recoup that
billing
money?
the
They're
individual
billing the
entity.
individual at an elevated rate.
Well, are they? But that's what we
don't
don't.
know.
Are they?
Bill.
They're the
It-
Port Authority. They don't stop making money on anything in my eyes over there. You tell me. There's an,
I don't know how. I don't know
I
what
need
the.
to go too.
sorry.
Okay.
But I don't know. That's a question we'll have to find out from John.
Well, I was more,
And
we'll
if
ask
you remind me
John.
next week, I'll ask John.
We'll ask John, but I was curious what the arrangement was with police,
With
fire,
police
and,
and I
if
think-
they were doing anything above and beyond for you guys,
No.
other than
Not
paying
for
for
the
your
fire
automobile.
side, and there's
Not yet.
paying because the heightened security, they've got the extra officer checking transport trucks coming in on site, but normally they've got, they're paying an outside agency. It isn't even Boeing personnel anymore.
No.
What's the?
They're not
it's
Pinkerton guards, are they? But something,
No.
something to that effect, right?
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
a
contract service.
Yeah.
national
That they
vendors.
The car itself. When the officers over there, they make profit on the car. They mark it up. You guys mark the car up a little bit, make money on the car.
Well, yeah, that goes to the general fund.
You know, yeah, but you make money on that, so not just on the officer.
Right.
It's a break even on the officer money.
But, we're not.
And you said something earlier
Same thing.
that we were
driving down
talking
30th
here
Street
about
on Sundays that I
the
find
tax rate
happy
increase,
about.
because that's exactly what I told somebody when it didn't get approved, and I said it was frustrating to see
came down
people
my street.
post a blog that says you don't need any more tax dollars. But I want to say, how do you know? What do we have? And if they
Well-
knew, then I would say, okay, great. Now somebody did say.
There's no doubt that Dwayne
we
is
don't
right.
Get that. Well, he said we don't get that
There's-
information.
No. What he's saying is, and this is what I'm saying too. We don't effectively communicate. Okay, communication's a two-way street. Do we send the information out? Absolutely. Are our meetings public? Absolutely. Anybody can come. Anybody can get any information from us that they ever want. Nobody requests from us the information that would adequately inform them, okay? It's one thing to speak, but it's another thing to be heard. And what we're not doing is we're not effectively communicating with people, which that word effectively is very important. And I nobody can argue with what Dwayne said right there. He's absolutely right. We are not effectively My wife told me that Wednesday morning. All right, after I, had slept for
And
like
your
2
wife's-
hours and woke up with a headache. She said, Mark, you've got to find a way to more effectively communicate with people. Because she, having heard my spiel, she understood the need for the tax increase. She understands what our financial situation is. But I effectively communicate with Natalie. What we need to do is find a way. Sometimes. Yesterday when she wanted me to fold the clothes in the dryer, I don't think we effectively communicated.
Did you do a good job?
No, that was the problem. She communicated and I didn't hear it. But anyway, no, Dwayne's absolutely right. I mean, we can't. That's inarguable. We've got to find a way to more effectively communicate with people.
I'm not denying that. That wasn't my whole point. My whole point was for somebody to say, you don't need something, and I ask why, well, because I just don't think you do. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, for somebody to say, you don't need any more, figure it out, well, you if you actually got informed, you might find we need more. Now, can we do a better job? I'm not saying
Yeah.
we can't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's real aggravating when people will tell you
Yeah.
something
And
you do and don't need when they don't have a clue.
Probably,
And that's the
there's
truth. They don't have a
probably
clue.
35, maybe, % of the people in Heath who don't want to be effectively communicating. I mean, even if you did, they still would say, "No, you don't."
I would have had the same sentiment prior to being on council. Needed more tax dollars, but that would have just been an assumption.
Yeah.
Now that I see the numbers,
Yeah.
I realize the need.
Yeah.
So I'm not just saying they're dumb and they don't know anything. I was dumb and didn't know anything either. Fortunately, we're here and we get to understand the numbers and see this. So,
But I'm
So
afraid you've
how
got
do you effectively communicate that?
that's right.
How do you get, besides the minutes
You can just speak.
of the meetings and things like that being,
But
It is
that's all
stupid.
part of it. If you can go to the website and find out what's going on. It's got to be updated, though.
But Dwayne, I can't. Here's the problem: the recipient needs to take the initiative to go find it. I can't tell you how many phone calls we've gotten. See you later, Dave.
Good night.
I can't tell you how many phone calls we've gotten this week from people who've said, I missed the leaf pickup. Now, the leaf pickup information was right on the homepage of the website. If you went to the website, the link for the information was right there on the very first page that comes up. We notified the media, and I know it was printed in the media. So, if you know, there's where there's a little bit of onus on, well, somebody's got to be interested enough to go seek the information. If you're going to use something like minutes and putting them on the website and all that stuff, that doesn't do any good if nobody goes out on the website to go find information.
Yes, but you've got to promote and get people used to your website. One, they're only using it at tax time primarily. Two, every vehicle in this town ought to have that website on the vehicle. When the vehicle comes past down the street, they can see what's happening. I mean, you've got to get it out there in front of people. You've got to, everywhere. Yours, I think, have it.
It
Every vehicle in town ought to have it on it.
I'll go on with that.
Even the fire
Yeah.
truck should have it on there. Every vehicle.
Would we put that reverse wise so that you see it in the rear view mirror, or would you put it regular?
On the hood, you put it in reverse.
Is there any reason that we can't, and this is what I talked to somebody about, the dollars and cents, it was one of my neighbors, so we talked about that too. He said, I said, it's public record, you can go ask for it. He goes, well, why don't they just put it on the website? I said, oh, that's a good question, why don't we put a monthly fund report on there? We could.
That's
Our
what I
CAFR's
tried.
on the website.
Or what?
Our CAFR. The audit that we go through every single year.
Have
I'm
you
pretty
read
sure
it?
our CAFR. Oh, I know.
No,
It's
I'm
very
talking
complicated.
about just
I've
that monthly
read
fund report, do you know, in the month fund report?
Yeah.
Just that one single page? That
Oh.
wouldn't be a bad idea to put on.
It's
Yeah.
you've got to get to work on updating the information, making it relevant, and like what.
It needs jazzed up.
Well, it needs jazzed up, and it needs a constant updating, and you've got to promote it everywhere. You've got to revolve around it. Basically, you're already doing a good job, but that's only a beginning, though. I mean, out here. Where do you have the website shown to get to? I mean, and that's only
Nowhere.
one avenue.
Yeah, nowhere.
But yeah.
I know most
Nowhere.
of you don't like some of you don't like Facebook and whatever, but it is one of the attractions of the most people.
I've
And
got
it doesn't-
Jenna working on that right
and
now.
it
That was one of the
doesn't
things
have
that
to be-
Natalie talked to me about on Wednesday is to utilize. But then what the onus is then is you gotta get people to friend it, I guess, right?
Or like it. You just
Like it
like
or
the
whatever.
page. And I
Yeah.
think you can do that
But
where
it's-
you
it's
don't
a
get
growth
comments too.
thing.
Yes.
It's just more of a
Yeah, that's what
release of
Jenna
information.
was
Get it
saying to me too.
growing
Yeah, that's
and get
what I-
people connected. It'll help tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely. Well, see, that's what I think you guys heard one of my spiels over there at the church. That's what I told people when I went to those meetings to talk to them. I said, since, for 9 or 10 years, or since the last time that tax issue was on, the city has not effectively communicated to the residents how we haven't been doing this, or we're no longer, funding that, or, you know what I mean? We haven't. We haven't been able to affect. Now, again, a big part of that problem is that communication is a two-way street, and the recipient has to be an active participant in communication. And that's a big, big problem. I think that there's a lot of people who don't care to be informed. But we've got to find a way. We've got to find a way to more effectively communicate with more people in the city. Because if not, we'll continue to beat our heads against the wall on this issue until, I don't know until when.
No,
I don't know.
get people coming to the meeting, get more people involved. And one way of doing that, just baby steps. Like Tim always says, baby steps. We have invocation every meeting, every council meeting, twice a month we have invocation. How about we invite a pastor from one of the local churches and say, hey, bring some of your congregation with you. Or maybe if they know he's going to be here, they'll come.
Maybe you can ask your pastor or minister or whatever to make an announcement.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta work it from the community.
Because people go out and they talk to each other after they come to these meetings. I do. If you
I've
go-
advocated the digital sign
Yeah.
right out front,
Yeah.
but John Groff would have my head.
Well, I'm telling you, there's no better place and no bigger need than right out there between the pool and this place, and just a digital readout. You can get messages out. You've got a fine location on 79. That would be an excellent move.
Just get people to come in or see the watch it on YouTube, whatever. But if you get people involved and know, I mean, they sit here and they listen to you, they listen to the chief here, they know.
Yeah.
We need
But see, but that's the problem. That's the problem. What I'm saying is that we can't handcuff them and drag them in here, right? There's got to be a motivation on their part. And that's why, Keith said this to Kent Mallett. Keith said this to Kent Mallett after we sat with the Advocate editorial board. Kent met with us afterward, and he wrote that article that ran, I think, the weekend, not the weekend right before the election, but the weekend before. And Keith said it perfectly. Because Kent asked, well, how do you think it's going to go? I don't know. Keith said, we're not worried about the people who are informed. We know they get it. We're worried about the people who we haven't been able to inform. And he was exactly right. The people, I mean, I don't know that I had anybody. Now, maybe they just don't want to say it to my face because they're too polite. But I didn't have anybody, after they gave me some time to explain to them what the situation was, how we got here, what we wanted to do with the new revenue. Nobody said to me, you're nuts. There's no way I'm voting for this. But we, again, it comes back to being able to effectively communicate with people. To have enough people with an understanding of where we've been and where we're going to go, one way or the other, whether or not we have the revenue that we need to provide services. That's a big challenge for us. It's a big challenge. I see it, Dwayne. I know what you're talking about. I agree with you. It's a big challenge for us.
Did either of you two elected officials get argued with? I mean,
I had one at the football game. We were passing out flyers. I only had one man, and I tried to approach him. He said, "I'm going to vote no. I'm sorry." And he wouldn't let me talk to him. He just kept going. But he didn't even give me an opportunity to explain. So no. And we had the one gentleman at Forest Hills.
That's kind of hilarious because I had various debates about the subject. People argue with me. They won't argue with you. So that's part of it. They're not going to argue with you. They're not going to truly come out without knowing you comfortably and tell you exactly how they feel. I don't know what it is about people, but a lot of them seem to be afraid to tell you how they feel.
But when you advertise in the paper and everything else, you're having a public forum, and that usually it takes an instigator. And go back to those weather warning sirens. Nobody cared for years. Until 2 or 3 people rounded up some of the locals and brought them in, and then we had 25 to 30 people sitting in here when we really got into the meat and potatoes of the sirens, and I'm sure that swayed some votes on council at the time, and we got the sirens because there was enough. But how do you get you listen, he's a good speaker, he did a good job, but nobody showed up for a lot of those.
Seems like if it's not controversial, nobody's interested.
And the reality is, you guys are an anomaly. You guys are not the norm. We're not gonna get the citizens that think they're just coming to see if things are going right to come to these meetings, because people's lives are busy. You know, I've been involved in other things. You try to get people to come and do something in an evening. They don't have time. They, you know, fine, you go ahead and you go on. You know, if there's something you wanna give me, mail it to me or whatever, but they're not gonna come every week and listen to what we have to say unless something's wrong.
Unless
then we're gonna,
something's controversial.
yes.
And then it
So,
gets really
right.
played up.
Should we play, you know, there's even mixed, should I have put something on the bulletin board or our sign out in front of the fire station?
That's where you're crossing a line.
Right, and this is where we hear that we're not allowed to do stuff like that.
Right.
And I can understand that. But there's no, do you have the website on your site out front?
No, I don't. No, we don't, and
The what?
It's one thing that should be. I mean, the more you do it, the better off you're gonna be. But you also gotta work, and I'm nothing against Jenna, she's a great gal and stuff. But you need to get her
Hey, did Mom come get you?
need to get her some formal education on working with stuff online.
Okay.
Better be this
Well, she just
IT
has,
person.
she has too many,
Fine.
yeah.
Yeah,
We need a
she's-
webmaster.
She's getting too much piled onto her.
Yeah.
And she's trying to learn it
I mean,
and
get
do
a
it
lot
at
of
the same
comments on
time,
our
and it's
site.
pretty tough to
It's
do.
a funny little quirks.
You know,
that we
like I said, nothing against Jenna, she's a great gal and all, but I think she's really got too much, and I
Yeah.
think we
Steve
almost
Gregory's
need
got a
an
book
IT
with
person.
Fun facts.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff I like to put on my racing page, but I don't,
That was a
I feel guilty if I ask Jenna to do it.
Heisman Trophy, the worst
Because,
tilted
Well,
football
and
game was
nothing, don't take it against
222
Jenna.
to nothing.
Talk to the people at the pool.
And the coach of that
Okay,
game was
and
Heisman.
They said it was useless. It couldn't get updated, the information was wrong.
People were calling and complaining that the stuff on the website about the pool was wrong, because when they get there,
222 to nothing.
And she couldn't get stuff updated
It was
in a timely
so she
fashion.
was complaining the same way. I said,
Well-
will you please come in here? And she
Was this last year?
just,
This past year. Please remember
yeah.
that
All right.
our domain provider, for lack of a better term, really
I'm sorry.
did us a disservice. Is
Have you
probably
changed?
a very clean way that I could do that.
Have you
Yeah.
changed from the dude at Baker Haas?
Yes. You mean the domain host?
And the other, whoever was, there was one powered by and there was one design.
Yeah.
There were two.
No,
entities
we have
involved.
control.
I
now.
contacted them both, and they were useless.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah. No, we control it now. We have the domain. We have the domain name
I
control.
mean, I'm no
and we
internet
have
expert.
you know we have the control of the updates on the website now. Last spring, when that happened to us, we really had to start from scratch, and the information was outdated because they basically restored what was the old information.
Well, then
But
they
we
did
didn't have the controls to be able to edit it quickly.
and they didn't do it properly either because.
Oh, I know. Well, that's why we don't use them anymore.
Well, depending on which web browser you had,
It
all you
wouldn't
got
work.
was, it wouldn't work.
Yeah. Now I know.
And
Who's you got now?
It's us.
Totally.
Yeah.
In-house.
Yeah.
The last I haven't looked at
Yeah.
that in a long time. It was down
Yeah,
so
we're
many
not-
years. Whitney was the
we're
senior.
controlling
It's
it
been-
now.
she's been out
Yeah.
Who's powering it? Is it?
Yeah, we did.
um,
Her whole senior year.
yeah,
It was down.
Katie?
And I checked the
Time
company.
Warner. Or Verizon.
Well, Bob Evans, aren't you?
And that was,
No, that's not, that was last
I'm not
night.
sure.
strictly cable.
I'm not
No,
sure.
we'll go tonight.
So many of us have got.
I want to say it may be on one of our servers, but it's isolated from everything else.
Did Channel 20 ever come
I
back
have
up?
to ask.
The
I-
Heath site,
I
Heath's
haven't
site.
I
I
haven't
haven't
seen
I haven't
it.
looked for it in a long time. He just asked. I know for years it was down, so I gave up on it.
Yeah,
I just
it's
put one down.
Yeah.
occasionally back up, but it's just, slideshow of different whatever's up. So,
So what are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do? To raise money? I'm gonna
I'm gonna go
Take
ahead.
the race car out there and drive it naked. And do burnout.
And sell cupcakes. Just figured out cupcakes in there.
Get
I
autographed
thought he was
notes
gonna-
handed out.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna tell Chief he was gonna have a pancake breakfast.
Take 200 yards.
Look
He's like, huh? And he's like, no spaghetti dinners, no, no pancakes.
What's that?
I'm just ready.
Oh, I know.
I'll certainly try to help.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yes, and thank you for donating the labels. That's
Yeah.
Like I said,
Huge.
I'd like to see it all the way through the whole city.
That's a good point.
Well, we'd certainly.
I'll
yeah.
run around sticking them on.
There you go. All right, I'm gonna take
I
you
got
up
a
on
gun.
that. I'm retiring from the sticking part. Trying to.
You know, we could utilize those white picket fence things